Hey everybody, number 38 in the Criterion collection, Branded to Kill by Seijun Suzuki from Japan in 1967. This is honestly an interesting film, and the story behind it is interesting, or the story of its after effects from its release are interesting. The movie itself is hard to describe. I'm debating which order to go in first. Let's do... Oh yeah, we'll save the story for the end. This is kind of a Japanese B movie. I even saw that description in some of the stuff that I read, and it does kind of fit. It is, at its very core... I'll give you a plot synopsis, but please understand that this movie does not handle this traditionally, because the plot is essentially our main character is the third greatest assassin in the country. He screws up a job, and so the rest of the organization tries to kill him, and he has to kill them all in order to not die, right? He has to defend himself against a league of assassins. It's a botched job because a butterfly lands on his sniper rifle right as he pulls the trigger, and he accidentally kills an innocent. The main character also has a fetish for the smell of boiled rice. Here's the thing. Everything you read about the movie talks about his smell of boiled rice fetish. It comes up in every description, every plot, anything you can read about this movie, that's the first thing you're going to learn. It only comes up in the movie 2 or 3 times. It's such a weird thing for them to focus in on. So the plot, apart from the rice thing, the plot is nothing super unusual, right? Super assassin has to go up against other assassins, is essentially the story. First of all, it's a black and white film, which is a little weird in the 60s, but then I remember Clerks in the 90s was black and white, so, to save money. And the guy was on a tight budget and a tight time schedule, so that is possibly why. Also, and I'm not familiar with this particular director, but in this movie at least, he really seems like he wanted to make the cool scenes. The scenes that interested him in some way. And the things that he didn't think were cool or interesting, they mostly just skip. The movie is missing a lot of what I call connective tissue, right? This is establishing shots, transition shots. How does the character get from one place to another? Why is he going from one place to another? These sorts of things. There's enough here that you can follow this plot. It's a little weird and a little disjointed, but the movie makes sense from beginning to end. Possibly I've just watched a lot of bad movies, and I don't even know that I would call this a bad movie. There are parts of it that are very good, actually. Overall, it feels weird and disjointed and strange. I'm kind of used to that feeling, but as to whether or not I say, is this film worth watching for you, if strange and disjointed are major turnoffs for you, this movie's probably not going to work out for you. Now, I said I was going to talk about the story behind this, because apparently Mr. Suzuki has had a reputation for making strange and unusual films. And the film studio he was contracted with or working with, I'm not quite sure how the Japanese film culture goes, so I may use a few incorrect words, but you'll get the general sense of the story. They basically told him, please don't make a weird movie. Please stop making a weird movie. Just make us a normal film that we can sell. And so, supposedly, Mr. Suzuki went extra weird on this one. And the time constraints were so close together that he basically wrapped up editing the film a day before it had to be released. There was not a lot of time for the studio to get to oversee anything or have notes or opinions. The movie released and the movie bombed because it's a strange and odd movie. The studio fired him for making movies that don't make sense and don't make money. He tried to fight the firing. I think legally, he actually tried to get, and he got some support from film students who were huge supporters of his work. And it led to him being blacklisted from all Japanese studios, and he was not able to make a feature film for the next 10 years. So one way you could describe this movie, I don't know that it's fair to describe it this way, but technically you could describe this movie as being so bad it killed a man's career. Again, I wouldn't call it bad, odd, unusual. There are things I really liked about this movie. There are things I did not care about. I don't envision a time where I will ever want to see this movie again. But I did not suffer through it, and I do not regret seeing it. So, if that is a good description of my relationship to the film, it's kind of middle of the road. The backstory I find very interesting. The next movie, number 39, is another movie by him made a year previously called Tokyo Drifter. I actually am curious to see this film so I can get a better sense of his style. And maybe have a better grasp on how much of Branded to Kill is the extra weird that he supposedly put in versus his normal amount of weird. Whether or not I'm right about him just being bored with certain parts of a movie and so not putting them in. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Also, just as a quick note, if you are a fan of other content that I put up on this channel, I actually have a week off from work coming up soon that I plan to spend writing one of my next books and doing some extra content creation. So there soon, in about a week or so, there should be more of these. I'm going to maybe try to do a movie a day, but I'm not guaranteeing that at all. But I also am going to take time to do a new WTF Cinema. If you haven't seen those because you've just joined for my Criterion reviews, WTF Cinema is a series I do where I take movies that I find to have... There are 3 types of movies I review on WTF Cinema. Bad movies, obscure movies, and offbeat movies that I love. And in all 3 cases, I essentially walk you through the plot and point out plot holes and problems. Sometimes I play an angry reviewer, but it really is all done out of love for movies for the most part. So I do have another one of those that I plan to do, and I will have the time to actually do it next week. So one of those will be coming out as well as more Criterion reviews, which will be good. Because we've got some interesting ones coming up. Tokyo Drifter is next. One from the U.S. that utterly surprises me. Then Henry V from the United Kingdom. Cool, we can get our Shakespeare on, I suppose. I don't know how Shakespearean it will be. But the one after that, the 42nd entry in the Criterion Collection, has one that's been fascinated me ever since I started this project. It is a fishing show. It is 6 episodes of a show called Fishing with John from the 90s. I am intrigued as to why 6 episodes of a fishing show are in the Criterion Collection. I am looking forward to seeing that a lot. So, just a little taste of what's to come. That's all I've got for now. I will see you next time for Tokyo Drifter. Hopefully I didn't talk too much about other stuff. I meant to say with the WTF Cinema reviews, if you're just used to the Criterion Collection reviews, I do these off the cuff, right? I set up this microphone, I hit record, I talk, I hit stop, I post the video. It's very low effort content because it's the only way I can reliably put this up and keep the pace up, because I do have a full-time job and I have a house to maintain and I've got family here. I take care of my mother and my uncle and 2 small dogs. So just, I've got a full life, as do most of us. So the only way I can put out this kind of content is just, film it, drop it, go. I don't do editing or anything. But the WTF Cinema reviews, I do. There's a lot of editing that goes into those. Doing an entire review gosh, around 6 hours to do an entire review, and that's only that fast because I've done it so much that I have it down to a pretty good system. But those are edited and more polished, and you'll see clips from the movie that I'm talking about. Just to give you an idea, check them out. It's kind of this channel's real flagship product, although I'm not able to do it as often as I would like, and I can do these Criterion reviews a lot more readily. So, check it out or don't. Just, it should be coming up in the next week or two. I'll see you guys next time. As always, thank you for just watching what I do is supporting me, and I appreciate that.